Hello, my name is Eric Young and the person operating the camera is Steve Dixon. I'm going to be showing you how to build a computer today. Starting with the chassis, which is the case which will be holding the computer. There are screws on the back, hopefully. This varies according to the chassis, but this is how, in my case, there were two right here and I took them off and it opens the side panel. Now inside the chassis we have a diagram of where the motherboard should be laid out, along with fans. This one has an LED, it's just a novelty, not necessary. So you may have noticed this is our kitchen. We are doing it in the kitchen because there's no carpet in the kitchen. And the major issue with creating a computer, and the thing you want to watch out for, is static electricity. And at any point you want to be touching the case to ground yourself. Because if you don't do this, you shock something and it doesn't work. And we don't want that to happen. Now this is my roommate Steve, and he will be guiding me through the next part of this because I have no idea what I'm doing. Steve?
Okay, so he took the motherboard out of the case. This is styrofoam stuff underneath, okay? Alright, so basically all you're going to want to do now is really just put your motherboard in the case. So you can see right here, this little slot here is where your I/O panel is going to be. That's all this stuff over here. Right? So you know it's going to have to face in this direction. So you can just bring it down. So we put the motherboard in, just lined up the screws. You can see the I/O panel is nice and flush with the side there. When building a computer you have to make sure all the form factor is correct. So if you're buying, it's pretty simple. It says what the form factor is on pretty much every piece of equipment you buy. So the case is an ATX or micro ATX motherboard supported, and this is a regular ATX motherboard, so we know that it's going to fit. And now we're going to use the provided screws to screw the motherboard tight.
Okay, right now we're installing the mounting screws. We missed a step. Or we didn't miss a step. Don't listen to that. Right now we're installing the mounting screws.
Alright, so now the screws are going to fit. So. There we go, everybody's got a nice little gold hole. Okay, so now we take the regular screws. So just kind of plop them in, don't really screw them in too much. That'll happen a lot. Okay, good. Alright, so now we need a screwdriver, which I believe I have in my bedroom. Alright, so there's something kind of interesting about screwing in a motherboard. That. There's like silver rings sort of around the screws, and what's going to happen is when you screw a screw into the motherboard, you want to screw it all the way in. Yeah.
Smart.
Sorry. You should feel a nice crunch.
Crunch. Yeah?
Yep.
This is the most delicate procedure.
We haven't even gotten to the processor yet.
Oh gosh.
Neat. Alright, so now your motherboard is nice and secure. Alright, so now comes the fun part, which is your processor. So,
the processor.
For protecting the socket pins, please don't remove this cap until you want to install the CPU.
Well, we want to install the CPU.
This is what we want to do. So, Alright, so this is undoubtedly the most delicate part of constructing a computer. There's no two ways about it. This is the part where it's easiest for things to go horribly wrong.
That's why he's handling it right now and I'm not.
Yes, when I built my first computer, the person I built it with also did the processor. So this is the heat sink. This dissipates heat from the processor. We can see right here, these three strips here, these are actually, this is thermal compound. We are going to use our own because this is not mounted optimally for the processor that it came with. So there's a delicate way you sort of have to go about doing this. First thing you want to do is take something flat, like a Subway card, and just scrape it off like putty. Now you want to take rubbing alcohol and get the rest off, but you want to do this nice and carefully. You don't want to soak the thing in alcohol, but on the other hand, the alcohol is going to get inside all the deep grooves that would normally, you can't reach with just a credit card. So look at all that. And you want to use something like a coffee filter or like a lens cleaner, because if you pick something else like a regular cloth, you can get caught and you can get stuck, and then that's going to cause problems further down the line for you. So once you're all nice and clean, alright, so now the motherboard, there's this latch here, and this cap is going to come up. Just like that. Alright.
Did you guys see that? Can we show it? Can we show that again?
Did this come up?
It should go under the screw and then pop in. That's what they were saying.
It's got to go under this screw, right?
This has to go underneath that screw, and then that pops in later.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
So that just unlatches and it pulls up. Just like that. Alright. So this is it. This is the CPU. Bloop, 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 bloop. So what we're going to want to do is mount our CPU before we put any thermal compound on it. The thermal compound is going to go right on top, and it's going to connect directly with the heatsink. So once we take this out of the packaging, we are delicately, oh so delicately, going to place it down. There is a yellow triangle that marks which direction it must be facing. It should match up. Right here, there's the triangle. You can see this is where all the sockets are going to go. I want to line up my triangle, the triangle up here. It should just drop right in.
And you do not press on that when you're putting it in. You just plop it in.
Which of course, if this wanted to go nice and smoothly, would be nice. This is when it's time to refer
to the manual.
To the manual.
When all else fails, read the manual.
Boom. That's it.
Voila! Okay. And then push it back, put it underneath the screw, and flip it down.
Get a nice satisfying crunch again. Computers like crunches. So, I believe my arrow is facing this direction. Yep. The arrow is essential for placing thermal compound on correctly. It's telling you which way the cores are oriented, so you can make the proper thermal compounding line. So the thermal compound we're going to use is a product called Arctic Silver. which is not at our table.
1 second.
Okay, this is Arctic Silver.
Prepping.
Okay, so with our triangle facing this direction, we know that the thermal compound must go down in a vertical line, nice and evenly, about 1 millimeter wide. And that's going to give you the best spread. So you don't need to spread it around. When you put the heatsink on, it's going to do it automatically in the best position. So now these 4 slots here are going to line up with these 4 holes. It should just go wherever this is easiest to plug into. So if this is going here, it must be like this. And when you push this down, it's going to spread all the thermal compound nice and evenly across the system.
Like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Just like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So this is going to come down. This is, honestly, I hate this even worse than setting the processor in.
Because you have to press on the motherboard.
Yeah, extremely hard. So, oh, there we go. And lock. 2. And lock. 3. And lock. 4. And lock. I did that somewhat incorrectly. The best way to do it is to push both down at the same time so that the thermal compound is spread nice and evenly, but I gave it a nice firm push down when I first put it on, so that shouldn't be an issue. And we'll just go ahead and plug this in since we can.
Luckily, everything on the motherboard should be labeled. They do differ slightly, but not too greatly.
So everything else from here on out is pretty much plug and play. I'm pretty happy with the processor job. The best way to find out if the processor is in correctly is just to keep an eye on the temp. So when you first boot it up, you can run a program like core temp that will tell you the temperature of your processor and all 4 cores. If it looks like it's running high, which is somewhere above 60 degrees Celsius, then it's possible that you mounted something wrong. No big deal. Get back in there, take the heatsink off, take off all the thermal compound properly, and you shouldn't have to reset the processor. Just make sure everything's clean, because odds are something just went wrong when you were. It's just not transferring heat properly. So a bit of a pain in the butt, but a simple enough fix. So whatever Eric wants to do next, he can do next. It's just plug and play from here on out. Yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to the video card now. I went with the Radeon HD 6870 to play awesome games. Well, we're just going to try it. As you can see, there is a slot here and a slot here I'm going to plug it into. Like it is, like it says, it's plug and play, so...
The blue one.
The blue one. Well, I got that wrong. Plug it into the blue one. Did I do that right? Everything explodes. Okay, never mind. RAM first. Well, I'm going to put in the RAM. For right now, I only have one
8 gig stick.
One 8 gig stick. I misresearched. I thought I had 2 4 gigs, but whatevs. We're going to try this right now. This is one of the most satisfying things you can do while building your computer. It's, you just pop it in, really. A little bit of pressure. As you can see, there's a notch right there, so you can't put it in incorrectly. I almost did. But
push down on the ends.
And that should be it. I didn't know. I didn't know, guys. I promise. You're going to hear me say that a lot. Okay, thank you. Okay, from here we're going to move on to the graphics card.
Again.
Again. Messed this one up once already.
Yep.
Slot into blue slot. Plug and play.
There you go. You cleared the RAM too.
But it's still not going there. There we go.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, you can take 2 screws and screw.
Screw number 1. This is the exciting stuff, screwing. I'm sure you would all agree. Now we're going to move on to the hard drive and the DVD drive. So, now once again we're moving on to the DVD drive. Popping it in the front.
Is it right side up?
Yes it is.
Yep.
And lock it down.
There you go. Very nice.
More electrostatic wrapping on the HD drive. This is a terabyte of memory. Okay.
Has every single 00 agent known and their aliases already on it? Pre-programmed. Bad joke.
We just watched Skyfall. Go watch it. It's good. Okay, as you can see, hard drive, there are spots on the side to pop this in, which are just pins. Now we're going to move on to the power supply. For me, I went with the 730 watt version, modular, which means that the connectors to it that lead to the that power the other parts of the CPU and the computer can be removed from the power supply unit itself. So it's basically, it just means the cords aren't fixed to it and you can adjust accordingly.
Accordingly.
My punny roommate.
Shut.
Cool stuff. Looks fancy.
Fancy.
What am I doing? Oh, okay. Fan needs to be on the bottom. Excuse me. Whew. Oh, where has my manual gone?
Well, we can just play the guessing game.
I like this game. Just mounts with a couple of screws to the back. Pretty simple.
Unless you don't know what screw you're supposed to be using.
Hey, I'm not the one who lost the manual.
Oh, you think I lost the manual?
Oh, I know you lost the manual.
Oh, you think I lost the manual?
Don't mess with me, man.
Oh, I'll mess with you.
See, I told him that he was gonna help me build a cool computer, and he helped. And now I'm making him do all the manual labor. And this is my evil plan.
That's how management works.
No, seriously though, I can screw a couple in.
Now the fun part.
Yay!
Plugging everything in.
We're going to plug things in now.
Alright, so this big guy is your 24 pin. He's going there.
Powers everything.
So
it's gonna go in this way.
these are all your USB.
Over the shoulder cam.
So like I'm defusing a bomb.
Looks like it, doesn't it?
The moment of truth. No.
Wait. Okay.
Now, the moment of truth. Things are moving. Ah, got the beep. Got 2 beeps. Got 3 beeps. That's not.